Before you go out and start looking at homes, there is one document that most buyers don't understand, and this is a buyer representation agreement. So we're going to go through that today. Hey guys, if you don't know me, my name is Shaya Mitchell, and I work with the brokerage called eXp Realty. Today I'm breaking down the buyer representation agreement so you can better understand what is in it before signing it. So what is a buyer representation agreement? This is an agreement technically between you and the broker appointing an agent, aka me, to be your realtor. And this is to solely be your realtor. You can see it here in the document. This agreement creates a sole agency relationship with a designated agent, as the Real Estate Council of Alberta's Consumer Relationship Guide explains. The Consumer Relationship Guide is a document that you do sign before you sign this one. You need to sign this one before you sign this one. It is very, very important to read through that one before you even get to this document. But as we continue on, this little area here, it also means that you cannot appoint another agent to work for you. This literally states that I am the only agent that you have hired. You cannot go and work with anyone else until this agreement ends. I typically put them for about 6 months. Lots of people buy within the first 2 months, 2 or 3 months. So it really doesn't actually go for that long most of the time. But yeah, what does this mean for you? It means I'm working in your best interest. I'm trying to negotiate for you. I'm protecting you and guiding you through the process. This is a huge financial decision. You want to be with someone who you can trust and who's going to make you feel confident throughout the whole process. Obviously, my brokerage has some responsibilities. They want to make sure that they're impartial. Like if you are buying a home with an eXp realtor who has the seller. So say me and you were out, we put an offer on a property with a seller, the brokerage is to be impartial with their dealings. You also have to make sure the agent that represents you meets the policies and procedures. There are supportive staff that make sure responsibilities are met. We have a bunch of people that look over the paperwork and make sure that everything is okay. There are times that we will hold money in a trust. As a buyer realtor, we typically get the seller's seller's brokerage, to hold the funds, like your deposit funds. It's not something we typically do unless you're a seller. We're supposed to give you a copy of this agreement as soon as possible after signing. Sometimes I don't get to it right away, but you will get it eventually, I promise. I also have responsibilities. I am looking for properties for you. I'm keeping you informed. I'm telling the seller of a property that I am your agent. I'm finding you information about properties that you're interested in. This means I'm calling the seller and finding out any information that we might not know about. So it is very important that you have a realtor that'll do that. I'm helping you prepare an offer with your terms, financing, inspection. Maybe you don't want either. Maybe you just want it done with. It is common to have financing and inspection though. And I do always push for those. And of course, favorable terms as well. We want to help you comply with a contract to buy the property, and we will present all offers and counteroffers from you, even when the property is already the subject of an offer. This means it possibly has already been accepted. You also have responsibilities. It is not just the brokerage and me. You also have responsibilities. You need to communicate and cooperate with us, discuss any specific information you want about a property. This means information the seller does not have to disclose, issues that may prevent you from buying. You must give us enough personal and financial information so you can assess your ability to buy a property that matches your search criteria. This is why we always ask for your pre-approval. It is your max budget, and we want to know what you're looking for at your max price. You'll need to tell us about any inquiries you make or receive about purchases that affect this agreement. So if you go and inquire about another property that maybe we don't know about, I've never had an issue, but yeah. There is a term here at 6.2. During this agreement and days after this agreement, you must give us copies of any offers we don't know about that you make or receive for properties that match the search criteria. Unless you sign a buyer agreement with another brokerage that begins after this ends. I actually stopped filling this out. I would typically put 30 days. There are such things as conflicts of interest in real estate. It is not a conflict of interest if I just simply show you a property owned by a seller I also represent. It is a conflict of interest, however, if you put an offer on that property that I represent the seller of. So it's really crucial. There's a bunch of different ways to go about it. I can act as a transaction facilitator. So I work for both sides to bring about a purchase and sale, and I'm not a sole agent for either of you anymore. Okay, so if you do right and you're not comfortable with the transaction facilitator, then I will act as the sole agent for whichever signed a representation agreement with the brokerage first. So whoever appointed me as their representative first, I will go and work for them unless, here it states, unless all agree otherwise. If the designated agent does not continue to act as your sole agent, you may ask us to designate another agent from our brokerage. You may choose another brokerage as well, and a lot of people might not know that. You can choose another brokerage if this is something that is happening. We have a fee of 3.5%. Oh my god, I should just write honestly. 3.5% on the first 100,000. And then we also get 1.5% on the remaining balance of the sale price. You may be asked to pay a retainer fee, but I never put that in. So you must pay our fee if, while this agreement is in effect, you enter into a legally binding contract to buy a property that matches the search criteria. You must pay us even if you don't complete the purchase unless you have a legal reason not. Again, in this one, I typically put 30 days. I stopped putting it in. I don't feel like I need it right now, so I've stopped putting it in, but I typically put in 30 days. In the 30 days after this agreement ends, you enter into a legally binding contract to buy a property we introduced to you during the terms of this agreement. You must pay us even if you don't complete the purchase, unless you have a legal reason again. You authorize us to ask the seller's real estate brokerage to pay our fee. Typically the seller does pay the fee, but there is the odd chance that the buyer might have to. And if that ever comes, I would rather talk to you about it than explain more on here. I would love to have a face-to-face meeting and we can talk about it and discuss what we would like to do. If you are responsible for the whole fee, you must pay it within blah, blah, blah days. Again, I do not fill that out. You do not pay a fee if you buy a property excluded in writing from this agreement or sign a buyer representation agreement with another brokerage that begins after this agreement ends. It's a handful of information, 100%. If the money paid to us is more than our fee, we must refund the difference to you within blah, blah, blah days after this agreement. So don't pay us extra because we have to give it back. So if you change your mind about looking for a property, you must tell us in writing. You must reimburse us for reasonable expenses up to the time you tell us. Again, I don't fill this out, but maybe you have a realtor that will. We must not accept any other fees, including finder's fees, referral fees, bonuses, or gifts directly or indirectly related to this agreement, unless we first tell you in writing everything relevant about the payment and you consent in writing to the payment. Again, I've never really had to go over this. People typically understand this section. It's basically that we could hunt you down for money. Ooh, personal and confidential information. This will be probably a big one for a lot of people. You have to give your consent to us to collect, maintain, use, disclose your personal information for this agreement and all uses consistent with you buying or potentially buying a property. We ask for your consent. We will not give out any of your confidential information without your consent unless required by law. There may be some lawful purposes that we have to give it out, but otherwise you typically will be fine. We will not use confidential information received from you or that we get as a result of performing under this agreement and any other purposes than those in this agreement unless you agree in writing. We will not give you any confidential information we have because of a past or present agency relationship with somebody else. So this is really important for a lot of people who are really worried about their confidential information. Our duty is to keep your information confidential even after this agreement ends. So even if we end on bad terms, I can't go out and be like, hey, blah, blah, blah. This is their number. This is their email. We can't do that. Okay. This section 11 is audio and video recordings and photography. Lots of properties nowadays have video cameras at their front door or all throughout their house, and they may have audios. They're going to take pictures of you. They're going to take videos of you. They're going to capture your voice. Please be aware of that. This is a very common thing in everywhere now, and it's just something to be aware of. 12.1. You agree that you will indemnify us and our brokerage representatives against all claims and legal actions that may arise from any consents or acknowledges you make in this agreement, or because we reasonably and in good faith relied on the information you gave us. This means that you will have to pay us in full for the outcome of these claims and legal actions and any related expenses, including legal fees. These things can arise, but we are also just working off of the information you provide us. The information you provide your mortgage broker, who sent us the pre-approval letter, who's telling us that your financing is good and we can waive the form. We are going off of the information you have provided to us. So it is very, very important that you're being accurate. Oh, here we go. Early end to this agreement. This is important because a lot of people don't know that you can end a lot of your agreements. So obviously, if you complete a purchase, that ends the agreement because you don't need to go house shopping anymore. Your agreement's done. If we agree in writing to end at an earlier date, maybe you're just not looking anymore, or you are frustrated with me and don't want to work with me anymore, it happens. If our license to trade in real estate is suspended or canceled, then that will end our relationship early. If we are bankrupt, insolvent, or we are in a receivership, that will end early as well. If this agreement is breached, we will give you written notice to end it. And yeah, it goes both ways. If there is any breach in the contract, one side or the other, whichever side, can end it. You give us written notice to end this agreement because our board membership status changes to the extent that we cannot fulfill our obligations under this contract. There are a lot of things that do happen in real estate. We get emails about it all the time. Documents attached to this agreement only form part of this agreement if we and you sign or initial them. So even if you just signed it, it's not totally part of the paperwork because we both have to sign it because this is an agreement between you and me. So it's very important that we both sign it. You'll have to acknowledge, just read over it, that you have signed this, that you read the Consumer Relationship Guide. Something you should read before you even get this paperwork. Okay. This agreement creates a sole relationship with me and you, which is described in the guide and also described in this. You had the opportunity to get independent advice from a lawyer before signing this agreement. Be aware that you can go to a lawyer and be like, hey, can you read over this or give me some advice on this? That is totally okay. We'll have to get your contact information, and my brokerage's information will be provided as well. Same with if you went to work with any other brokerage. And then this will be my information over here. This will have my information. And then we will both do signatures. You will sign, I will sign, and that'll be it. If you're thinking about buying and you want someone to walk you through this document, please, let's chat. Let's make sure you're buying with confidence and that you clearly understand what is in this document. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.